Hey, what is going on? My name is Justin, and I'm here to talk about Arcade 1-Up. We're going to be talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I have a new Yoga Flame edition. This is a demo unit that Arcade 1-Up sent out to me on the right here, this Yoga Flame. I'm in the process of doing the review of it, so I've been playing with it, I assembled it, I've been filming every single possible thing. This will be the first time I'm going to try to do a very thorough review, so it might be a couple more days before that is out. But I'm going to give you a glimpse of what I've learned so far about the Yoga Flame Edition, and we're going to contrast that to the brand new Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which was just announced this weekend. In fact, this stream is going to redirect to BKong stream, which is kind of like they're in EVO in Las Vegas. It's kind of like their final stream where they're going to be talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It will be available for pre-order September 8th. But also, if you follow this channel, some of the other channels that are working with Arcade 1-Up, you'll get an opportunity to become one of the first to be able to pre-order it. So there's kind of like a pre-order, like a little reservation loyalty club for those that are like a part of this niche community that we help support. And so I want to talk about the Yoga Flame Edition. Now, one thing that we heard from John D from Arcade 1-Up, and I don't know all the details of this specifically, but if you notice the difference between this Yoga Flame Edition that's on the right, it looks very similar to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That is said, it's supposed to be like the same unit. The only differences between these units are, of course, the cosmetic part and then the software inside, right? So that means all of the shape of the wood is going to be exactly the same. The sticks are the same. The buttons are the same. It's going to have the same screen. It's got a BOE monitor in both cases. You got the marquees, the same quality. It's just cosmetic and the PCB on the inside. Well, so I've been taking a look at the Yoga Flame, and immediately when I actually got it fully assembled, the actual hardware of it, I want to talk about in depth as well. I'll do that in my review video, but also here live, I'll talk a little bit about it. Boy, so first of all, this new generation is like the new Mortal Kombat. You've probably seen reviews on the Arcade 1-Up Mortal Kombat, and that is the beginning of Arcade 1-Up coming out with what I'm starting to call the 2022 fighter cabinet, right? I think we've all lost track. We've all lost track of like which generation they're at, right? So maybe we just get to go by the year. And so the Mortal Kombat was the first fighting cabinet that came out in 2022. Is that fair? Do we want to call it late 2022? But you get my point, right? So let me pull that up really quick. So this is the Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary. Really, it's not gonna come up with it. Mortal Kombat 30th. Let's see if that's enough to get there. It is. So the Mortal Kombat 30th. If you take a look at the shape of this cabinet, you'll see that it's just like the Yoga Flame, and it's just like the Marvel vs. Capcom. Now, let's start out with saying some people don't like this. Some people are very, very upset that Arcade 1-Up did this thing where all of their fighters in this 2022 season all look the same, and it all comes down to this one piece of wood. I'll show you that, right? So this side piece of wood right here is actually a separate piece, which is really funny. That is that distinct part. Like, if you take this piece of wood off, because after I'm assembling it, this is actually a piece that you have to screw into the sides, right? Without that piece there, it doesn't have that, like, midway, what people are calling the midway shape. And unfortunately, Arcade 1-Up, I don't think they intended it to be like, hey, this is a Street Fighter cabinet in a midway shape. It's their new generation cabinet, and the very first one they did was Mortal Kombat because they wanted it to look like that midway, but this is what I'm thinking, to save money or to capture their investment, I don't know what the word is, but basically so they could spread out that investment, multiple cabinets have that same shape and design. Now, when it comes to the Marvel vs. Capcom, there's multiple things that people are upset about when it comes to the cosmetic pieces of this unit, and that is how it has that graphite instead of grill control panel. And yeah, that's a cosmetic piece that people are going to be upset about because They have a preference to have it more of that, diamond grill shape. That's what they remember the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 having in the arcade. For whatever reason, Arcade 1-Up didn't go with that. They went with this graphite design. It sucks. There's other things that have been pointed out that I thought were really interesting. If you take a look at the Yoga Flame edition, it actually looks really good when it comes to the side. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me just go right back to the Arcade 1-Up website. Yoga Flame edition. This is weird. I think a lot of us are just been telling Arcade 1-Up, just put more artwork all over the place. We want artwork on every single panel. Like, just wrap it fully. And it's totally true. And then once they basically did, we're like, what are you doing? It should have this black spot on the side. I find it kind of interesting how if you look at the difference between the Marvel vs. Capcom, you could complain like, hey, this on the left, this black part is kind of sharper. And so what I've learned is, since this is an extra piece, I wonder if Arcade 1-Up should have just, spent a few more dollars in the development and said, hey, when we do the Marvel vs. Capcom, this piece of wood here, which is completely separate, could potentially, make the cabinet distinct. Like, I've been thinking about reaching out to some of the third-party manufacturers and say, dude, you could totally sell this piece of wood here on the side. 2 pieces of wood completely change the shape of the cabinet within reason, right? There's going to be some limits to it. Okay, so let me jump in. One of the most exciting things that I want to talk about in this podcast, I'm going to say it right now. The new chipset that's on the Yoga Flame edition is the most powerful chipset that I've seen Arcade 1-Up come out with so far. And that's the one that's actually on the Yoga Flame edition. I think that it's possible that it's also what is on the Mortal Kombat. I'm assuming that all these 2022 models are actually using the same chipset. Now, in your head, think about it. Those chipsets, have we heard of other people talk about Arcade 1-Up chipsets? None of them have ever gone to that 2 gigahertz, right? They've always been like a quad-core of 1.8. But what I actually found is it's running... let's see. It's actually... I'll throw this video up here real quick. This is a video from ETA Prime. You can watch this. Look for the all-new Fire 7 tablet. It actually came out... I think this is recent. Like within a few weeks ago, I want to say. So this tablet, which is kind of like an economy scale... What is it? An economic tablet? But it's a 2022 tablet. It runs the same chipset as this Yoga Flame. And so it's the MediaTek MT8186V. And when you look at those specs, it's a quad-core processor. And then it has 2 pieces of RAM on it. I checked out those. And together it's 8 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. And I noticed right away when I was playing on the Yoga Flame that the menus, being able to switch between the different artworks to select the game, was noticeably just super fast, right? So what I believe Arcade 1-Up did, it's all about Marvel versus Capcom. Because keep in mind, these Street Fighter games, they had Street Fighter running on a 2018 Arcade 1-Up cabinet with a single core processor. 1 core, a gigahertz. Street Fighter ran on it, not very good, but they've continued to improve it. So why would they improve it? Probably because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is very demanding, so they put a really high-end chipset on it, but they also put that same chipset on the Yoga Flame. That's what I believe is happening, because I was talking to Nostalgia, actually, and I was giving him all these specs, and he's like, that's a pretty good chipset for home arcade. I'm like, I know. I mean, it's a 2020 chip, so it's not like an amazing chip, but relatively speaking, it's something higher that other home arcade haven't done, and even the GPU is a higher GPU. I don't think I wrote that one down, but the spec on the GPU is also higher. And he was like, yeah, that extra RAM is definitely why the UI, just going through the UI. Then I was playing Final Fight. Final Fight felt great. Just really, really good. Scan lines looked good, didn't appear to slow down the machine. But if you look real, like you have to like put your eyes like literally close to the screen, the scan lines don't actually like have an entire like line of black. It's not bad. It's probably a compromise where they're like, yeah, there's scan lines. You can see them. They're subtle. They look pretty good. But some people like those deep and bloomy CRT look, and it's not that. But it's probably pretty good for Arcade 1-Up, right? It's probably, if you get real into the CRT bloom, you're going to get into the area where a lot of people are going to be super picky about their scan lines. So it's probably a good general scan line. So I ran through all of the UI. There wasn't really anything to tell you that if you press the second player button, that's what opens up the settings menu for the Yoga Flame. But I found it, right? And then, yeah, there's a lot of options. You can change through the difficulty. You can change your scan lines, and each game has their own. The hardware of the entire unit of the Yoga Flame, the actual physical pieces of wood, everything I think they've improved. Now, some of you may have known this already because these are kind of their newer generation cabinets, right? Like, probably starting with Tron. You know how you would assemble the Arcade 1-Up cabinets, and at the very top of the unit, right? Let's see if we can find a picture of it. Probably just right here. It would have that flimsy piece of wood, you know, at the very top. It's not like that with the Yoga Flame, which means it's not going to be like that for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? It's the same hardware. It's the same thickness of the entire cabinet. The entire thing is so much more solid. All the pieces of wood that they have, like it has that additional riser at the bottom there. Well, that has a board that goes from side to side, and it kind of wraps that part, you know, where the two pieces meet, making it very solid. And then those metal pallets, it's got the coin door on it. This entire design in here, there's one mistake I think that they made on this cabinet for sure, and that is, this is a cabinet where you must, listen to me, you must, if you buy one of these newer Arcade 1-Up generational cabinets from 2022, you must remove that screen protector, you know, that comes in the package. You have to remove that before you fully assemble. The instructions say you wait to the end. And I listened to the instructions. I thought I was smart. I did it like my last few cabinets where when I had the monitor all apart, I unscrewed all the pieces. And so I just had these loose unscrewed. That way when I peel it off, it won't get stuck to it. Well, here's the problem. The very top of it, once it gets fully enclosed, you can't access the top of the monitor anymore. The screws that are at the top are inside the speaker. So when you go to peel it, you can't peel it at the very top anymore. Like, I had to just kind of peel it across and then pick all the pieces at the bottom, and it was so hard. Eventually, I took a guitar pick and just shoved up all the pieces up inside there, which actually worked pretty good. It like, you can't see any of the plastic, but literally on my machine at this part of the unit, there's still plastic there. So you must remove the plastic or peel it down at least at the top before you put in the marquee. Out of all of the cabinets that Arcade 1-Up have ever released, this is the best design. I swear to you. Console Fanboy is when your review video. I just got done capturing all of the content, and I got to get into the editing. And so I captured everything. The assembly. I have camera overhead of all of the units, all of the artwork, the PCB, the specs of the PCB. They've increased the sticks. The sticks are actually different. It comes with an octagonal gate that you can pop in if you want, like with instructions of how to remove the other one and put that in. I think Console Fanboy, that's on the Mortal Kombat one as well. If I remember, you were mentioning that. The sticks feel stiffer. They're not bouncy like the Hap sticks, and the buttons feel the same. So the buttons, I think, are the only thing that are like remnants of previous year. The marquee is better. The lights for the marquee are better. The power supply, how the power all works. They're thinking about internationalization, so they actually ship it with a US plug. The instructions show that, you know, they can have plugs for Europe and Australia, same power supply, so it's a universal power supply. You know, for international use. The entire shape of the cabinet, although yeah, it's Midway. Some people might say that this yoga flame is not attractive. I was thinking, my daughter said this was the better of the two, so that's the one I got. And when I got it in person, it looks as beautiful as you see it right there. It pops. I'm telling you. Like, I feel like there's going to be 30 hate videos on me. Please start the hate videos on me saying that I'm an Arcade 1-Up shill. Go ahead. Like, I give you permission. You can clip this part for your hate video about this. But I'm telling you, I've been a fan for a long time, and this cabinet's awesome. Like, this new version, like, I'm looking for things to complain. And I asked Console Fanboy, actually. I asked him to come on the show tonight. Didn't I, Zohar? I literally was like, Zohar, I want you to come on the show tonight because I want to have a conversation. He refused. He's too busy editing his videos, but I get it. But the reason why I wanted to talk to him is I wanted to say I was sorry for him not getting a BOE monitor on the Mortal Kombat, because like, it's pretty much everything that you would want from Arcade 1-Up in that Mortal Kombat edition, except for the BOE monitor. And on these newer Capcom, the Yoga Flame on the left and the Marvel vs. Capcom, it's got the BOE. So literally, the only thing that you can hate on it, right, is if you don't like the cosmetics of it. You're like, you don't like the choice of what they did with the artwork, because it's got a coin door. You could add lights to your own coin door if you want. Like, I was playing around with that. This is the first time I shined my... this is what I did, was and you'll probably see it in the video unless I edit it out. I shined my phone underneath the coin door, and like, it fully is ready to be illuminated. And I know some people sell kits for it. I bought a kit for the Golden Tee, but I haven't installed it yet. But it actually does look really good. That coin door is like ready to have light behind it. So it's like Arcade 1-Up is embracing people hardware modding the cabinet. This is, and I think they've been doing this recently, but I double checked on these newer, the Yoga Flame edition. There is absolutely no glue in the PCB. Like, if you want to get into the PCB where the encoder board to put your own buttons and sticks in there, no glue on anything. So you can just unplug all those and no big deal. I did notice that, and I think they've done this on this model and last year's model. There's like where it actually connects to the buttons, right? You can't really detach it. It's like they're snapped in there. But if you're going to do that, you're probably going to replace the buttons completely. Yeah, so someone in the chat is talking about the Mortal Kombat 30th with the Dell 1715 is awesome. It should come that way. So there's a number of people, what they're doing, if you don't know, they take that Mortal Kombat cabinet and they put a Dell monitor in it. Some of them are a few years old, or some of them are even older. And what a lot of people don't know is if you deshell a Dell all the way to its bare guts, it's got LVDS connector on it, the same connector that would go into the PCB of the Arcade 1-Up. And so for the Mortal Kombat edition, which again didn't come with a high-end monitor, came with like the lighting on the monitor is not very good. Basically, go look at any review video of Mortal Kombat, look at any picture of Mortal Kombat, the screen doesn't look very good. But if you go look at any review of the Yoga Flame, of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Star Wars cabinet, all of the ones with BOE, they all look great. And if you want to get that same greatness on your Mortal Kombat, you'll probably have to spend about $50 on a third-party monitor, like a Dell monitor, an ultra-sharp 5x4 monitor. And yeah, so someone is asking this, so is the Mortal MvC2 a 5x4 aspect ratio? I do not believe so. To my knowledge, the Yoga Flame is a BOE 4x3, and it's supposed to have exactly the same specs on the Marvel vs. Capcom. That's my understanding. It's a 4x3 monitor. Yeah, so... yeah, someone else said he just ordered the Dell 1715 as well, got it used for $50. So, again, you only have to do that on basically the Golden Tee 19-inch. Again, TN monitor only has one fluorescent bulb on the left side. Same with Mortal Kombat. 17-inch only has one fluorescent bulb on the left side. Doesn't shine very well. TN monitors are actually fine. Some of these Dell monitors actually have TN monitors in it, but it either has a WLED light on the entire back, making it illuminate very well, and so the picture quality from every angle actually looks really good on a TN monitor, or it has a fluorescent bulb on the left and right side, and that's all it takes. And what Arcade 1-Up messed up on is when it comes to the Mortal Kombat and came with the Golden Tee, they had TN monitors with only a bulb on the left side, only shines from left to right, and it just doesn't look good. That's my understanding of it. Some people have decased it and tried to explain how the fluorescent bulb is fine if you have enough of them, but not if you only have one on one side. So it's a cost reduction thing that the manufacturer did. But you don't have to worry about that with these Capcom. And again, I was going to have console fanboy on Zohar because he loves the Mortal Kombat, and he keeps on saying that, like, they didn't do justice to the Mortal Kombat, and it's true. I feel bad, but these Capcom units are pretty good. This unit that I have so far has Final Fight on it, and so glad. It's a Street Fighter Final Fight cabinet, something that I've been looking for, I've been wanting to have. It has online play. I can't wait to play some buddies on some beat-em-up games. Captain Commando as well, beat-em-up game. It'll be fun to play with some friends. I gotta find some people that have the Yoga Flame edition, because some of these games are exclusive to the Yoga Flame, and I gotta play Giga Wing. I've never played that before. It has an attract mode. That's pretty cool. I was hoping it had an attract mode that went from one game to another, to another, to another, but when I left it on the menu for Strider and just left it there, it automatically went into Strider and did the attract mode for Strider. But then what I was hoping it would be like the Defender Countercade, which after 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, it'll go back to the menu for a few minutes and then go into the next game for 5 or 10 minutes. So it's like an automatic attract mode. It doesn't appear that this Capcom Legacy has that, like, enhanced attract mode. I mean, that's like a minor thing. It would be awesome if they could do a firmware update for that, because I think that's just really cool. Like running and you just have it behind you, or you're playing other games, you just kind of see visually it switching to other games. It could pull you into a game like, yeah, I remember the game. I want to play that game now. I haven't played it in a while. So that would be pretty cool. Let's see. But I'd love to hear those in the chat now. What are your thoughts? Put a question mark at the beginning of your comment if you want it to be highlighted. Bill is saying right now that I love that attract mode on the Defender Partycade. I don't understand why Arcade 1-Up doesn't do that for all their cabs. So perfect for the home arcade setup. Yeah, I think what it is they partner with different companies for the different units. And that particular unit is a partnership with, Other Ocean or Digital Eclipse, or I don't know, maybe it's To Do Games with combination of the Mu emulator. I'm not exactly sure, but that particular setup has that nice enhancement. And then some of these menus are like, I don't know, it's like Code Mystics designed and licensed out the menu for the game selection, but then like they hire a different company to do the integration and the optimization. And then they have their own QA team that's trying to like make sure they're using the correct ROMs with the correct settings. Let's see. Do you think John D will listen and fix the game deck art? No, I don't think so. I think this Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think that's the design. The reason why I believe that is because right here it tells us. It says the pre-orders start September 8th, and then it ships a few weeks after that. That tells me they're already on their way. This means when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 pre-order opens, it means they're probably already in the United States, so they can't fix it. Like, they're probably already in boxes in Hong Kong getting assembled, so they would have to halt the entire process and eat whatever progress they made. But if you want to see, exactly what the unit looks like right now, I got to bring in a buddy of mine. It's Mr. Kongs R Us. What is going on, man?
Going on, Justin?
Let's do an audio. Oh,
yeah.
It's just me that can't hear you. Go ahead.
Is it? Can you check? You hear me? Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I got multiple things. There we go.
Okay. Test 1 2. Can you hear me? Are we live?
We're live, man. So
Yeah.
behind you, those in the chat, hit a question mark if you have for B as well. You have a stream in about 30 minutes, right? So we're gonna be
I
jumping
do.
over there soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So just keeping the party train. It'll be part of my probably my last opportunity to make content for this. And so I'd love, either other content creators or folks in the chat if you have real deep questions, dedicating pretty much the whole hour to be able to answer questions, do some gameplay, do as much as we can while we have a unit in hand. Because after this leaves, no other content creator will have access to it until it actually gets into their hands. This is a pre-production unit that's going back with John D back to his home base. And after that, I don't know if there's going to be other review cabinets out there. So I'm happy to have at least the last couple of days to check it out.
Yeah. So we have this question, and we've discussed this recently. I think we should try to be transparent about this without crossing the line of what we can talk about. But
Yeah, that's a
do
good
you
one.
think he needs to pre-order to get one?
So the thing about this is that it transcends our home arcade space. So if you thought our normal market of our niche community is, we know that 3,000 is a nice round number for a success for a typical cab. And this is, FGC beyond such a bigger title that can span and reach the mass market. And so there's going to be more demand naturally because of that. So when you put that into perspective, I think this is going to be a good title for Arcade 1UP at the price point that's there being set at $599. If you want it, especially in first run, I would recommend it. And this is not me shilling, but I've heard that there are going to be limited quantities in there, in the first initial run of this particular batch. But if it does well, there may be a different SKU. I think John actually mentioned there was going to be a SKU with the stool because we didn't see a stool in this package that I saw. I saw a full box with the art and everything. There was no stool in that particular package.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. I think. What I heard is it based on the numbers that are coming in, the interest seems to be high. So that's good. Whether that indicates they'll be out of stock, we don't really know. There is a question that came in that I think is interesting. So if you didn't catch before the show, I was talking a little bit about the Yoga Flame edition and the chipset on it, 2 gigahertz processor in it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, quad core. It's basically equivalent to a 2022 Fire 7 tablet. Wow. Nice. So it's not like an amazing processor from a computer point of view, but compared to like a Raspberry 3, yeah, and compared to all home arcade, it's really good. And it's like that on the Yoga Flame. So my theory was this is basically the Marvel vs. Capcom chipset in the Yoga Flame.
Wow.
And so the question, he said, is if the Yoga Flame edition and the MvC2 are the same chipset, basically the same, why is Yoga Flame $499, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 $599?
Because of the license and the extra heft that comes without just re-releasing existing games, which the legacy editions, there were new games on the Yoga Flame cab that weren't released before, because John, I've heard him in chat conversations, he loves curating game lists, and the legacy cabinets are meant to give you kind of familiar titles, but maybe 1 or 2 bangers you might not have heard from. And Capcom being his baby, right? If there's future, legacy compilations, he really loves trying to put out some unique games. But those are like existing old library things. Right. This is a marquee title. This is something that can sell on its own. This, I think, even before we saw the games list with 8 games, I actually personally assumed that it could have existed as a standalone cab with just this title alone. But
really?
The fact
just
they added
one, like a T2, like one
if
game.
they were gonna do it, if for the movement, it's so great that they made it backwards compatible with all the other things. That's what's gonna help grow the retro arcade space. So I think that's the biggest reason why the title alone kind of deserves that mark. All the legacy cabinets, they found that sweet spot at 500, which when they announced that price point, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. It's a great question, Jeffrey. Another way that I think it is one of the reasons why the MvC2 is only $599 is because they could share the cost on the Yoga Flame, which helped contribute to the entire funding and development of the whole thing. It looks like what I'm thinking is Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary and the 2 Yoga Flames. They're all sharing the manufacturing process for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2. If that is their what would you call it? Their elite cabinet, or their, I don't know, there's a word for it, right? That means the big ship one. I can't remember the word, right?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Good question.
So will House of the Dead cabinet be the next shooter in the next wave? Well, I think that would be all speculation, right?
I mean, House of the Dead is still Model 2 emulation, and they're not there yet. So, I mean, this is now Naomi. So if you look up Naomi games and which arcade games, now they're at a new level of stuff that they can do. The door has opened because previous to that, I think Ridge Racer was a System 22 game. So then you could look at that library and say, hey, this is possible. So look up
Right.
Naomi titles and then see which games.
Ooh,
Model 2, which is a great system, is House of the Dead. And I don't think we're quite there yet based on available chipsets that are affordable.
that makes sense. And it kind of plays in what we were just talking about, right? Where it's like, let's say, for example, they only expected to sell, I don't know, 20,000 Marvel vs. Capcom 2s, but there's like Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary. They got the couple Yoga Flames, and they're like, hey, altogether, let's just say it's 100,000 units, right? It's like, oh, let's buy let's buy 100,000 MediaTek MT 8186 or 68V. Sorry, I'm talking about numbers. Whatever. A higher end processor that can run Naomi, even though Street Fighter Yoga Flame is not running any Naomi emulation. It's just like that's my theory.
Yeah, it's the new standard chipset they could use for that title and what those cabs are for sure.
Let's see. Are you guys planning on getting rid of the Marvel Superheroes since this is announced?
I never got a Marvel Superheroes cab, so I'm in the clear. But
So,
how
I've
about
been
you?
thinking about it.
Yeah, it's right behind you. It's one of your marquee titles you have
it
in your
is.
background completely.
It's only got 3 games, and
but it has Punisher, doesn't it?
I would lose Punisher,
Yeah,
but none of them are online, right? And then I mean, partly I've been thinking about just keeping it, but also getting Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I think the real question, because literally the Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet has all the same 5 games, all online enabled, plus the games that were on the X-Men exclusive, Mutant Apocalypse and Coda, Children of the Atom, plus MvC2. So that is really a better replacement for a cabinet that's doing it. With Marvel Superheroes, you're losing a game, right? With Marvel vs. Capcom 1, you technically could sell that and upgrade to this and not lose any functionality. The only thing you might be losing is if you really like the artwork on MvC1, which I do. And me personally, I already have it modded by Bobby Vu. That cabinet has been my favorite cabinet. So sentimentally, I will not be getting rid of my Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I probably will have it with this because that's my game. That's my number 1 game of all time, and like from a fighting game standpoint. So that one is going to stay with me.
Right. So I'll answer this one. Wait for the cheaper Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Countercade version. I think you'd be waiting a while. And the reason why I'd say that is that new chipset is probably required for that Naomi hardware, and they're not going to put that chipset on a Partycade. They're not going to put it on.
And it wouldn't be online enabled. It wouldn't none of the Countercades are online enabled. None of the head-to-heads are online enabled, which actually upset me when I saw the Marvel vs. Capcom head-to-head. And I know that would be weird to play one player online on a head-to-head, but with that title and those things, yeah, they haven't been doing that with any form factor except 3/4 scale.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to come out with Countercade. What if you wanted to wait? The question is, would you wait for a pro version? Because that would make sense way over a Countercade because they can afford that expense.
Possible.
Question: is the Yoga Flame monitor compatible with the MK30th? What do you think?
They're different aspect ratios. It's 5:4 and 4:3. So
now I got to take a shot.
Yeah, I got him to take a shot. You set me up so bad. Can you tell I already have aging glow because I already drank?
Oh my gosh, you drank a little bit already. Wow,
a little bit. When in Vegas, right? I had a couple of friends that were, I really enjoyed hanging out with. I'm looking at him right now. He's looking at me. But I've been spending a lot of time with Overthink Gaming and Your Average Gamer.
Oh yeah.
And they've been like super fun to hang out with. If you ever seen those two banter online, the same exact banter happens.
Oh, that's awesome.
24/7 in person. For any opportunity for OTG to bust UAG's balls has been so amazing to witness. So I've been having a lot of fun here in Vegas.
Hey, you did a preview video, right, of the MvC2. Did you get the BOE screenshot in there of the?
Yeah, I mean, I can open it up right now and like show you anything you want. So if there's something you're curious, it is BOE for sure. I took a snapshot of it and then showed the footage. It has BOE on it. It's the same model SKU.
All right, just
Oh, you
go
want the
check
model
out his.
number? Okay.
I
Okay.
guess it's
Yeah.
in your video, right? We can just
It
direct
is
them
in
to
my
your
video.
video.
You can go watch my preview. I called it a preview because technically it is, right? Like review of a
Right.
demo unit. And really the bad thing about it, because I couldn't test online play, I usually like to call my in-depth reviews going over everything. But since I couldn't
Right.
cover those features, really had to still call it so a preview. And I don't know if I would do another one if I got it, but it's the exact same model number for all the BOEs that we're used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like a different one. Okay, cool.
But let me go confirm. I can go get a screwdriver and confirm right now.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Take me off.
I'll read a
Take me
couple
off.
super chats while you're doing
All
that.
right.
All right. You realize MvC2 ships on October 8th, 2022. Guess when the Mortal Kombat anniversary is? October 8th, 2022. Coincidence? Nope. See, Console Fanboy would be amazing content creator for conspiracy theories, because you always were like aligning the date, be like this date and this number. If you add these two numbers together, it equals this. I don't know about that, man. We had another super chat. Then I'm going to go back to the standard questions. Hobby Hand says, still trying to decide. It's hard to pass if the license is only for MvC2 on the cab. So if you miss out, it would be a gamble. Could be a gamble if MvC2 is your game. Yeah. I don't really know. You know, most cabinets do eventually come down in price. Whether this will jump to $499 at a later date, it could happen. Like it may or may not happen. Like, so I think that's a choice that you're just gonna have to make, right? Like that's the when you're playing that deal game, right? It's like maybe. So let's take a look. Is this proof? I think some people are also wondering, you know, for sure, is this a 4:3 monitor, not the 5:4 aspect ratio?
Is that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the DV170YGZ-N10. It sounds familiar, right? Same SKU?
Yeah, did you say DV17YGN
Yeah.
N10?
Yeah. DV170YGZ-N10 is the model number.
Yeah. It like auto-completes when I type that in. It
Okay.
immediately comes up with VS displays. The DV170YGM N10? Yeah.
Yeah, N10. That's the same one. And there's an Ethernet port for those that were curious about it. There's some micro SD port. There's actually another USB port here as well, you know, and then the SD card slot, which we've not really seen any functionality for folks using the SD slot, but yeah, that's what it is. So you're playing.
Yeah, I pulled up the specs. It's a 17-inch monitor. It's 960p. It's 4:3. It's got that 89, 89, 89, 89 viewing angle. And 1,000-to-1 aspect ratio. This is totally like the standard unit. At least it has the same specs that I recall. And then I think the response rate, it's like 17 milliseconds at the bottom.
Yeah.
If I remember.
I'm out of drinks. I need to take a shot now because you went deep into it.
I went deep.
That's a double shot.
I did.
Whenever Justin ever talks about aspect ratios, chat, make sure you have a beverage in hand because that is a fun way to spend your afternoon. That's right. Making sure to hit a shot when we talk about monitors.
You're crazy. So the question is, do you think Arcade 1UP will release a firmware that allows the MK30th to have the option to switch to 4:3 for a BOE swap? I don't think they will do that.
So, honestly, yeah.
The other thing is the bezel wouldn't fit either.
Yeah, it's cropped at a different angle.
Yeah, so they actually have the bezel like fit the aspect ratio perfectly. And so when they plan out that the monitor is going to be a 5:4, the bezel is a 5:4. And then if they wanted to do 4:3, it's 4:3. Now, technically, either monitor can go into either shell, like the casing that holds it, but the bezel will just not look right. Do you think they will do a Street Fighter 3 Third Strike cab with the original SF3 and Second Impact? What do you think, B? Is this the anything is possible comment?
It's possible. I mean, when you think about there is a generation of Street Fighter games like SF3 and the Alpha series that haven't made their way to cabinet form. I think definitely Third Strike was in the arcades, but a lot of those cabinets found a renaissance during kind of later console versions and other things. Like Alpha was my game on PlayStation 1 more than it was in an arcade. So would it survive like that nostalgia piece as an arcade? I don't know. I think they're great games, but I don't know if it has enough of that arcade nostalgia to kind of drive it. So that would be kind of
Mm.
my point to share. But I think it could definitely be on the road. It's absolutely 100% possible with all the licenses and the roadmap they could have. And like I said, John D loves compiling game lists, and that could be a hot cab.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, if you have a question, just put literally a question mark at the end at the beginning of the chat. Scanlines for Galaga Pac-Man cabs through software update. Any chance that will ever happen? I wouldn't bet on it. I would say no.
Titles, yeah. For older titles,
I would say
I don't think there's enough demand to do that type of update.
Yeah. I mean, I answer this basically if you have a cabinet that you decided to buy that didn't come with scan lines, but there's another one that has scan lines. I think the likelihood of them updating cabinets that are no longer for sale are really, really low. They said in the past that they were going to try and do that for like the 40th anniversaries that were like early or last year's model or 2021. I don't think.
Besides putting that question in chat, the best way to really kind of make it heard is submitting a ticket and then getting other people to submit tickets that you want that. That's the documentation portion that they need to see there's enough demand to do something like that. If there was a hot demand for that, but you know, here we're talking about it, but they're never going to see that as a company.
Do you think they'll ever come out with an MvC2 cocktail cab around the corner?
I don't know. Now that they've secured this title, I'm sure we'll see every form factor and everything, you know, to milk it, and so that they can get this in many people's hands. But
there's still that challenge of it's probably more expensive
online
chipset, right?
Yeah, but I know it would be actually really weird to see MvC2 in the cocktail format because there's so much happening on the screen, and you have to split screen it. And I don't know, even Marvel vs. Capcom 1 felt weird on a cocktail head to head, because you never saw that. That was not a nostalgic cocktail style cabinet. You never saw those in that format. So I think cocktails are best suited for the classic arcade games that you actually remember seeing them in. So I don't know if that would be a popular one.
So I'm going to highlight this question and then answer it by a different chat. Is Hydro Thunder possible? And then it's answered by Jason, who says no. As a Naomi expert has said, Hydro Thunder cannot be emulated. Wow, that's sad. When I bought this house, I was telling the previous homeowner that I like arcades, and he immediately was like, "Do you have Hydro Thunder?"
It's a popular series, yeah. The later one,
I've been looking for one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Since the MvC cab is not in a final form, as mentioned, is there a chance for a control panel artwork change before production? Since the voice is loud, and that we want that diamond plate art. That is the number one complaint, hands down.
I think so. In fact, I was trying to remember back if I remembered the cement art or the steel plate. And in fact, if maybe give me like a couple minutes off. We went to New York? No, Excalibur. We were at Excalibur Arcade, and they had two MvC2s there. And one of them was the showcase style with the pedestal. And guess what art deck they had? It wasn't this one. It was the steel plate one on that. So it could have been converted from the other one. But like, so this, I know that's been a lot of complaints. Even John D himself has said it, that like this is something that he does not also like. But you have to know that he's not 100% responsible for the designs. There's a whole design team with Think One Up that's helping out with stuff. And the reason why it's so jarring, because I was looking at like Yoga Flame, like why isn't people complaining about that one as much as this one, is because this side panel, this is the big reason why it looks off, because you have everything that looks nice and then it's just out of place. But I love the thought of the making this blue to match this around the sides, and that really would, because it's black, you can hardly notice it on the Yoga Flame, right? It's not as jarring,
right?
And because even on top of the Yoga Flame, it's this same cement. But if you matched this to the cab color, it would blend in just like that and not look as jarring. So if they did this exact thing with Yoga Flame, and so I don't know if I don't think they can change it at this point in terms of it being in box and everything that's been released. I would look forward to, you know, Arcade Graphics or Gulf Coast Decals or any of those third-party folks to make a 3-piece artwork for the front, the sides, and you can get something that's going to make it look more manageable. I'm planning on doing that immediately as soon as I get mine.
Yeah, so let me see that front of the cabinet, because I was looking at the Yoga Flame. See, this is what's interesting. I didn't see this. So I wonder if this is a pre-production unit, right? So let me show you something. I'm going to go over here, and this is So this one, if you look at, I think the coin doors are fake. So this, I don't know. So I took a picture of my Yoga Flame and actually had it in Photoshop right next to this one. And I was looking, and it was funny. By chance, my camera angle was pretty darn close when I took the picture. And there's an Arcade 1-Up logo right in the front.
On the
yeah,
yoga
of the
flame?
Yoga Flame. Everything else is pretty much the same. There was nothing else, but sure enough, if you look, there's no Arcade One. I noticed that when I was putting it together. There's no Arcade 1-Up logo on the bezel, not on the control deck. It's right in front, which is kind of cool if you're standing there, like in front of it. You just are immersed with the nostalgia and arcade.
Yeah.
But Arcade 1-Up is on the front, but on the MvC2,
Yeah, it's nothing because the Arcade 1-Up logo is here. But on I saw on the Yoga Flame one, it says Capcom right here, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
It says Capcom right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
What do you think about the trim?
It is
like the black trim.
Oh, on the Yoga Flame?
On I guess both of them have. No, yours has red trim, no?
Yeah, it's got the red trim. I will say the Yoga Flame that I have is spectacular. It's in person. Did they happen to have one there? I guess not, right?
They did not. I really wanted them to have one here, so because we're giving away Yoga Flames. In fact, I'm giving away one. To be announced how you can get it on my stream in about 15 minutes. So
about 15 minutes. You got to check it out. Yeah, when I saw the Yoga Flame for the first time, I got it assembled at my house. I was like, I was completely wrong about this unit. And essentially, that's what I've been talking about in this stream, is about how, it's kind of weird. Like, you can go look on a website and look at it and go, I like it or I don't like it. And then, come to find out, like, it's a great unit. I think because it has that higher end processor, I'll have to try online play because it'll be interesting, because this is what I wanted to test. And anyone who has a Big Blue, I think if I'm playing against someone with a Big Blue, the Big Blue is a slower processor compared to this one. Is it going to make a difference? Will the Yoga Flame actually give you an advantage because it's got a higher end processor? I don't know.
I don't know about gameplay. It probably would still be more network than anything. It's
Okay.
The peer-to-peer
That's the
network
bottleneck.
probably would be because performance-wise, it doesn't take a lot to run those games on the Yoga Flame cabinet or Big Blue.
Sure.
It's just going to be your peer-to-peer connection. And I actually still play Big Blue mostly on wireless and then connected. For some reason, Big Blue, that game plays perfectly fine with wireless. The MvC1 cabinet is terrible with Wi-Fi, no matter what I do, even if I have it. So I wire in with MvC1, but I still do wireless for MK30th and for the other ones. But I don't know if it's just me. But
Yeah, I wonder
if with this,
if it's the hardware, because they do have different hardware. So Super Dimensional says, I just like to put my question marks because my questions all get ignored in. I saw your comment with a question, so I highlighted it. Anyway, so odds of an MvC2 Pro or XL cab, wondering if we should hold out for that SKU.
If it happens, it would probably be a while wait. Maybe a year or two is my personal estimation without any other inside knowledge. I just think they're going to allow the SKUs to like live a little bit before they make an out announcement. And there's a new marketing team here that's not doing what Killer Instinct did, which was cannibalize its 3/4 scale by literally announcing the Pro Cab at the same time. I think they've learned their lessons from that and not making sure that people are holding out so quickly. So they're going to give it some life to breathe before they would make that decision.
And I think John did say there's at least no... I mean, they could, if all of a sudden a Pro is announced, I mean, I'm guessing it would take 3 or 4 months at the fastest.
Yeah.
Right? But we heard is it's not in development right now. It's like, anything is possible, but as of right now, there's no plans. Did anyone notice that B was true to form building the MvC2 without his shoes on?
That's right. Who wears shoes when you're like indoors somewhere? I mean, I was at a hotel, but I still had my socks on at the very least. My toes were not exposed. P-dubs would be very proud of me that I did not drop any panels on my toes.
I'm wearing shoes right now because I just got done building my
safety first.
My Yoga Flame.
So I didn't catch your video yet. So did you already publish something?
No. You're gonna hate my review, B, because it's definitely in depth. I think I took. I didn't. Now
Yeah.
I will tell you. I promise you, I did not look at your content or anything like that as a way for inspiration. But talking to you gave me an idea. And I don't know why I do this all the time for work, but I've never done it for making content. So what I did was, let's see, here's the Yoga Flame. So I created notes, and literally it's just what I need to film. It's all just like, get a shot of this, get a shot of that. It's
outline.
I still have some left. This is all the gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And so I realized what I was doing is creating segments and, you know, like, well, if I'm going to have a Yoga Flame on the monitor, I need, you know, pictures of that, you know, the PCB. I want close-ups, so make sure you capture. So I haven't wrote a script or anything like that. I'm just capturing all the content.
That's good. Yeah.
And then
it's going to be in depth. I look forward to it to see. I know that Kelso did an hour-long review, so however you make yours, and if it's as thorough or more concise, I think more reviews on any particular cabinet always helps our fan base make better decisions if it's going to be something you're going to like. So
that's right.
All right.
Do you guys know if the MvC2 cabinet will be released in the UK?
I hope so. I know there are some people that are saying like Free Arcade 1UP UK as a trending thing because all of our folks overseas may not be getting as many cabinet releases, and that's, I think they just continue to put in tickets. It's probably frustrating for folks overseas that like this hobby as well. But yeah, they put in more tickets and keep bugging them. Liv is new to it, so as a direct-to-consumer person, I'm sure she probably has some experience with the international market. So I wonder what her thoughts are on it. I haven't ever asked her about that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, she seems to have some pretty quick influence on change at Arcade 1UP, so she may notice.
That was like in the last month, 3 events that all had very kind of high level, impact, and so yeah, I think it's the future is bright for at least having a voice that we can interact with.
Okay,
all right, last question, and then I gotta get prepped. Go ahead.
Since you basically work for Arcade 1UP now, let's do a rapid fire. You ready?
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
You just have to say immediately what you're thinking in your mind.
Best John D news.
Yeah.
Okay.
KI Pro news.
Delayed but still coming.
Is Area 51 possible?
Absolutely. It's a MAME game. Can totally be done.
With golf, NFL, and NBA in the books, what's the chances they tackle NHL Open Ice?
You would hump OTG right now if an Open Ice came out right now. You would give him a lap dance if it came out.
If the control panel sides are screwed in, where are the screw holes? Wait a second. Where are the... No, they're there. You can see them. Touch the screw holes.
This is the screw hole. You can't see it because it's hidden. It's right there. So it screws on in the 4 places, and it's right here.
Yeah, there's only one screw hole on that. The other ones are on the inside, right? All right, B, thank you so much. We're going to let you go so you can get prepped. What's going on, UAG? Can you hear me?
Give him his lap dance.
Come sit down for a little bit. So
these guys have been my guys all weekend.
What's up, OTG?
How's it
Every
going,
single time I see you, I want to talk like you. Is that okay?
Dude, I love it, man. Keep doing it. You got me down, man. But yeah, I've been enjoying watching it from behind the scenes right here. Have the best seat in the house. It's definitely been an experience here. But this cab, it's a lot better in person. That's all I got to say. And I wasn't interested in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You keep doing that. It feels good. But now I want it.
What the heck?
Comfort. But it's all good. It's good.
Yeah, those guys are a little too close.
Too close. All right. I'm going to get ready. So.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, B. We really appreciate it.
Bye, Justin.
See ya, man. See you in a little bit. All right. So in about 6 minutes, they're going to be going live for another show. That'll be pretty exciting. So stick around here. I got a few more questions. I'll try to answer the best I possibly can. And then this stream will just jump right over to their stream so you can hang out with B. It's a last chance. I think they got some fun stuff, a possibility to win a Yoga Flame Edition. And I'm working with John D right now in their marketing team. Hopefully I will be able to offer something special as well, since I have the Yoga Flame review coming out probably this week. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't want to miss out on this in-depth review of Yoga Flame. It's probably my most exciting capture of content so far. I just love when they make improvements, and I did not know that these newer cabinets were such a big improvement from previous models. So I'm going to really enjoy breaking that down for you. Okay, let's see. We got, has Kong seen the Blitz leak yet? So I have talked to Kong about it. We were on a show together where we talked a little bit about, let's see. Oh my God, will B hug me again? NFL Blitz announced this month. So what we know from the leaks is November 15th is when the NFL Blitz would likely come out. So I'm guessing we won't hear anything until closer to the end of the year. Let's see. Yeah, so everything about UAG and OTG, that is fun. NHL day one purchase, these guys dating. That's funny. So is 19K Fox having a show? No, he's on vacation actually. So he'll be back next Sunday. He'll be on back next Sunday. So Time Crisis, that is also an October 15th leaked date, I guess is what you want to say. So we might get a Time Crisis unless the plan was a Time Crisis XL, which we don't know. If it was planned for a Time Crisis XL, I bet it will be delayed because anything that was planned to have a TN monitor with a single bulb, which is what Golden Tee was, it's on pause until they can see if they can find a better monitor, better manufacturer, a better procedure to be able to get a monitor that looks better, especially one that's going to be a light gun game. You're going to want a really high-end monitor on that. But I don't know. Maybe it was planning on being a 17-inch BOE. I don't know. But we do know from the leaks that it was like an October 15th date for Time Crisis. And so far, the GameFly leaks have been spot on the entire time so far. Yeah, that's true. 19K Fox did 2 shows on Friday. You can watch those. There's some really good content coming out. And then, we were on a show together a couple times. We've been having a lot of fun, actually, doing shows together. There's been some positive feedback with 19K Fox and I doing shows together. I think we're going to try to do a little bit more of those. I met him in person, if you didn't know, a couple weeks back, and we talked for all night. And he's a good dude. He's a really nice guy, and I love collaborating with him for sure. See, JJ, he's saying the light gun games need to be 19-inch or larger monitor for 2 plays, play split screen, yeah. Let's see. Hey, Justin, how come no love for the Hadouken Edition? Yeah, so the Hadouken Edition is the one that I was kind of drawn to at first. But to be fair, like, full disclosure, what happened was David McIntosh reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, would you do a review on one of our legacy cabinets? And I said, sure. I said, does that include, like, a Street Fighter? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'll send you the Street Fighter. But I didn't know which one it was going to be, and I didn't ask. I've never asked for Arcade 1-Up for anything. I've never asked specific questions to be answered that are not yet fully public, you know? I feel it's a one-way. If they want to share, they want to give to me, it's one way. I don't ask. And so Yoga Flame is what they sent, and I was actually hoping for it afterwards, and I assumed it was because he said on the website in Hadouken Edition. And I haven't been talking about the Hadouken Edition a lot on my channel, mainly because it's not on the Arcade 1-Up website, and I keep on forgetting where the link is. And then I love going on just on their website. It's while I'm doing these live streams, it's pretty easy to navigate around and kind of demonstrate what we're talking about. So if it's on their site, I probably talk to it more. Didn't someone say 1-Up say we are only getting 2 more cabs this year? If MvC2 is one, Blitz is the other one, or is it Time Crisis? I think it's Blitz because we've seen actual leaked pictures of Blitz. We've never seen any leaked pictures of Time Crisis. And we know that, it's all coming together for me, man. Because that means the NFL Blitz is going to have the same chipset as the Yoga Flame, which is the 2 gigahertz processor quad core with potentially 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's going to be a pretty good unit for that game. And then it's got that Midway shape, so it's going to look pretty good, but it's going to be a 4-player cabinet. That's good, man. I didn't even put that together till now. Well, I gotta go. There's multiple reasons why I gotta go, but stick around. The stream is gonna redirect to B's stream. I gotta leave, like, right now to take my daughter to dance. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.